G'day Bomber fans. So the other day my silly friend Flynn said that he wanted to start following footy and more specifically going for Essendon. I did my due diligence. I warned him about the risks associated, but he must not have understood because he is committing to the club, which gave me the idea to make more videos catering towards newbies. So today I'm just simply going to introduce every player on the list to Flynn and to you newbies out there wanting to learn a bit about the club. And also I'd appreciate it if you guys could comment down below and give Flynn and others some pointers and tips when it comes to supporting Essendon, just so he understands and knows what he's getting himself into. But let's go through the list. Starting with our captain, our Lisan Al Gahib, Zach Merrett. So if there is one player's name to learn, it's this guy. He's like the John McClane of the Essendon Football Club. He finds himself in these horrible situations where he just has to go out and save the day on his own far too often. We are so lucky to have this guy on our list. He is an absolute gem of a player and so loyal to the club too. If you dislike Merrett, you probably dislike the Bombers, and even if you don't like him, you got to respect him. Our vice-captain, Andy McGrath, a Pidge, a really handy defender, but one of the more criticised players on our list. Why is that, you may be asking? It's a good question. So he was taken with pick 1 in the 2016 draft, meaning we took him over every other youngster in the country, in the world, and many think that was the wrong decision, which is fair. It may have been, but unless Andy snuck into the team's room and put his own name down to be selected, it's not really his fault. He didn't do anything other than show up to the club, display incredible professionalism and leadership, and fans hate on him for that. I really like him. Good player. I'm glad we have him. Lovely bloke too. He's Canadian, so he kind of has to be a top bloke. Maple syrup. Nate, Caddy. I think we all feel like proud fathers watching this guy play. So 2025 is all about youth for Essendon, which means you've got to know the young players, and none are more exciting than this guy. He is the future of our forward line, the future of our club. He's a high-flying mark, really exciting player. I don't usually like bleached blonde hair, but for him, I can make an exception. This guy doesn't even need to do anything that impressive. He can take a chest mark and the crowd will claim it's a sign of greatness. But no, remember his name, very hyped player. Isaac Kako, this is another one of these young players that you got to know about. So we just took him in this draft, so this is his debut season. He is an exciting, pacey, energetic small forward, super cocky bloke. He just knows he's good, which is awesome for a kid this young. He's got real X factor about him. And by the way, he's actually also really good mates with Nate Caddy, who I just spoke of. They were buddies in high school, probably bonded over lunchtime detentions. So now these two young forwards are the future of the club, playing in similar positions. Seeing them play together is going to be really exciting. Kako also has a great set of dreads and is actually the first ever AFL player with Iraqi background, which is a fun fact. Sam Draper, big old ruckman, big old mullet. He's probably the most popular Essendon player amongst neutrals. One, because he's a wacky bloke. He's a proper larrikin. And two, because he's an even wackier player. He is a proper goofy goober. You never know what this guy's going to do with ball in hand. It's a sight to see that mullet flowing in the wind as he either does something magical or just stupid. He kicks goal of the year 1 minute and misses the ball entirely the next. He is a really exciting player, to be fair, because you just never know what's going on. He's the subject of trade speculation this year, by the way, keeping you in the loop for trade talk early. Sam Durham is kind of like a mini Sam Draper. He's got the same first name, the same mullet. He couldn't do anything about the number 2 because Sam Draper had that, so he took 22 instead. The only difference is he's about a solid head smaller than Drapes. Durham's awesome though, super competitive and energetic midfielder. He gives his all each week. You're going to see him throw his body around like a rag doll to help out the team. If you like players that play with heart, you're going to really like Durham. If you like good speakers of the English language, you might not like this bloke. He lets his footy do the talking. I reckon he's become one of everyone's favourite players at the club. Nic Martin, St. Nicholas, just an elite player. He's one of our very best. And by the way, this bloke was overlooked by every team in the league for about 3 years before we gave him a chance. And then randomly, he just turned out to be an absolute gem. So you got talent, you got resilience, you got someone that's hardworking, you got all the things that you want to see in a footy player. You're going to see him with the ball a lot. He's kind of our go-to guy a lot of the time. We just give him the pill and say, go crazy, do your thing. He's the best thing to come out of Western Australia since Quackers, one of our best players. Mason Redman, Red Dog, proper country bloke out of SA, so you're welcome Essendon. I'm going to claim that one. Redman is a really fun and high-roaming halfback flanker. Nothing excites an Essendon fan quite like a Redman long bomb at goals. You're going to see him run with the ball outside 50 and it just makes you appreciate the little things in life a little bit more. If you're ever having a down day, just check out Mason Redman highlights. He's got that dog ear celebration as well, which did look a lot better with the man bun. I know he shaved it off for charity, but there is a bit of Samson and Delilah in that. He hasn't been as good since. Kyle Langford, or Carl Langford if you're my sister. What a beautiful mustache this man has, or had actually. The dummy went and shaved it. So he was our best forward, kicking 40 to 50 goals a year, super reliable. But without the mustache, I don't know if he's going to be able to maintain that form. Samson and Delilah again. Kyle is one of our more senior players, kind of leads by example. Quiet bloke, but maybe that was just the Mo blocking sound through. Maybe without, he is a pro yapper. Jordan Chook Ridley, Chicken. I've got a proper man crush on this bloke. He is just an incredible footy player. I personally think after Merrett, he is our second best player in the team. Great intercept marker, awesome kick of the pill. The only issue is he's actually got a rare condition where his muscles are made of silly string. So the bloke is injured every second week. He hasn't had a full season in a proper minute. You're going to love watching him play out of defence. He is so classy, so composed, so reliable. Unfortunately, you're probably not going to see it happen too much. Jye Caldwell, we traded him in from GWS a few years back, probably to increase the average tan amount on our list. He could spend a year in Iceland and come back still looking primed for Love Island. Very good player, very gutsy player too. He's a real bull in the contest, really tough bloke, and really passionate. He hates to lose and he loves to win. The passion he shows after wins makes you like the club a little bit more. Primed for another big season. Darcy Parish, he was one of the best midfielders in the comp, to be fair, a few years back, but he struggled with injury and form a bit lately. You're going to hear that talk about a lot, injury. I think the most important thing to note when talking about Parish is that in school footy, my teammates called me Darcy. Was it because I was blonde and went for Essendon, or because of my elite footy skills? I'll let you guys decide that. Big Ben, not the clock, the 2-metre defender, Ben McKay. We bought him over from North Melbourne the other year on big money to match his big stature. Now this was very controversial because we paid him quite a lot. You're going to hear that talked about a bit. And of course this makes McKay one of our most criticised players. I think he's great, a really good intercept marking defender. Might need lessons in hand passing and kicking while he's at it, but I like him, good player. He's also got a twin at Carlton called Harry McKay. They've got a podcast together. Check it out if you like podcasts. 2 metre, 2 litre, 7-seater competitor Peter Wright. We gave Gold Coast a packet of chips to bring him in a few years back, and it worked. The bloke won our best and fairest in 2022. He kicked goals for fun. Unfortunately, though, after that season, a lot went wrong for him. He did his shoulder. He had that big suspension. He learnt how to use the barbecue in his backyard. That took up a lot of his time, I reckon. So he hasn't really been the same since. And there are theories that he's currently suffering from big friendly giant syndrome, which if you're in a Roald Dahl book is fantastic. But for AFL players, not so much. I still think he's got a bit left to prove. He needs to do it fast because plenty of fans are unhappy with him. If you check the comment section in any of my videos, you'll see that. Elijah Tsatas. Now, apparently I pronounce his name funny. Every video someone comments that. I've listened back and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So if you're new to the club, hear someone else pronounce his name before me. I'm not even going to say his full name. Elijah is a young midfielder who's had a really strong pre-season. Hasn't played much footy in his short career, but he will likely get more of a chance to prove himself this year, adding to our exciting youth even more. And if you ask any Essendon fan, they'll say that this is the breakout player of 2025 for the club. He's looking very good. Matt Guelfi, I'm simply putting him this high up for video retention. The bloke is a male model, literally, by the way. He's a literal male model. Guelfi is the Prince of Perth. He's a little blonde bombshell who does his work in the forward line. He's a vibey bloke off-field, proper pest on-field. His role is pretty much just to annoy opposition defenders, and to his credit, he does a good job. From the looks of things, he doesn't shut up much, which is probably why he's been given this role in the team. I like Guelfi, funny dude. Xavier Duursma, we traded him in from Port Adelaide not long ago. I really like this guy. He's an underrated player, a really good natural wingman. Injured a fair bit, but when he plays, he's really valuable. He's best known for a bow and arrow celebration, which may or may not be a little bit cringe, but you forgive him for it because he knows how to play footy. And also, he recently got one of the cutest puppies you'll ever see. That dog is like something out of Pixar. Dylan Shiel, we traded this guy in from GWS. We spent a bucket load to get him. Honestly, in hindsight, not a great move. No offense, Dylan. I will say, though, he is looking pretty good to start the year in a new position off halfback. And if you want to see something crazy, check out an old video of Dylan Shiel doing a core strength strength challenge after this, because it is mind-blowing. He must have abs upon abs. Harry Jones is the face of our social media now. He is a 9 times Oscar-nominated actor and EGOT winner. He's more dedicated to running the socials than playing footy, I reckon. But no, he's a good young player. He had a promising season last year. We love him. Zach Reid is another one of these injury-prone players made of paper. Well, he's made of something even more fragile than paper. He's a really promising key defender, but the bloke cannot last more than 20 minutes on the footy field before suffering injury, and that sounds like an exaggeration, but that is genuinely around how much AFL footy he played in 2024. We have absolutely all fingers crossed and are touching all the wood we can for him to play footy this year. Speaking of wood, Nik Cox, big Cox, skinny Cox, taken in the same draft as Zach Reid. I don't know what I'm doing. So Reid, Cox, and the next player are all linked because they were taken at picks 8, 9, and 10 in the same draft, which turned out to be a bit of a flop. None of those players have really hit their straps. So Cox has also struggled with injury and form. He's got a high ceiling, but he hasn't hit it yet. Archie Perkins, same draft as Reid and Cox. He has shown the most so far of the three. He had some unreal matches. He was best on ground against Hawthorn last year, and you don't just get 3 Brownlow votes as a spud. So there is something here to uncover. He just needs to find some confidence. There's a bit of Forrest Gump here. You never know what you're going to get. Bryan, he looks like the Milky Bar kid, like a taller, more athletic Milky Bar kid. So there's that. He's a young ruck who's been really unlucky, not with injury or anything, but just because our coach doesn't want to play him. Bryan's been stuck behind others for so long, and finally in 2025 it looks like he's set to be unleashed for full-time ruck minutes. No more resis for Bryan. Todd Goldstein. So here's one of the players that Bryan was stuck behind. We traded in Goldstein from North Melbourne after an incredible career there. By the way, super weird trade, really wacky. Goldie was 75 years old when we traded him in, making him the only AFL player to ever play footy with a seniors card. He might not play a lot of footy this year, but he can get free bus trips, which is good. Archie Roberts, another one of these young players to get hyped for. I just love the way this kid goes about it. He seems like a little bit of a pest. You saw him arcing up on players double his size in the resis last year. He made his debut late in the season and looked really good. Really promising young player, only in his second year. It also adds up to the second Archie we have on our list. Jade Gresham, a small forward that we traded in from St Kilda the other year, a really handy player on his day. In fact, I would say he was one of our better players in the first half of the season last year. The issue is, when he isn't on his day, he is not a handy player. He's crafty and creative in the forward half of the field. Jayden Laverde is a pro Fortnite streamer, part-time key defender, really gutsy player. He gives us all every game, which you got to respect. I will say, though, that I would absolutely wipe the floor with him in a game of Fortnite. I would destroy him. It would be ugly. Challenge me if you want to prove yourself, Doss. I'd just guarantee you that I'd destroy both you and Merrett combined any day of the week. Benjamin Hobbs, the Hobgoblin. He is a literal goblin, by the way. He's the first to ever be on an AFL list. A good list diversity. Hobbs is a little nuggety midfielder, kind of like Lachie Neale if Neale wasn't a 2-time Brownlow medalist. Hobbs will be on the fringe a bit this year, but we'll be hoping to cement his spot in the team. Jye Menzie, a Tasmanian small forward. He's in and out of the team a bit. He's handy at his best, and an even handier golfer, by the way. So hop over and follow the Chips in Golf channel on Instagram. Free plug. You're welcome, boys. But Menzie, Langford, Parish, and some others all head out and play golf together. Menzie can swing a club. He knows how to hit a ball. I don't know why I'm talking about golf so much. Alwyn Davey Jnr. He is a little small forward, taken as a father-son pick. So he is the son of a former Essendon player, which is always good. He actually had a twin called Jayden, who was with us too, but we got rid of him last year. Alwyn stays, Jayden leaves. And honestly, if you're called Alwyn Jr., taking your dad's name, you do have to be the one staying around for longer. He is out of contract and under a bit of pressure, especially because he's just suffered a knee injury. Will Setterfield, another injury-prone midfielder. We traded him in from Carlton, and he is now on our list as a depth option in case we suffer any injuries in the engine room. The issue is, he himself suffers injuries, so it's not exactly ideal. And just to end it, we have a list of the players yet to actually play for Essendon, so I can't really justify going into detail on all of them. I will, however, have a debutant video out very soon, the players yet to make their debut, so stay tuned for that. But here we have Jackson Pryor, a delisted player we picked up for free from Brisbane. No-nonsense defender. He's going to play footy this year, I reckon. I really like him. He's the son of a former Essendon player as well. Lewis Hayes, another defender who could play footy this year. He's pretty promising. We're very worried about him because he is very prone to sunburn. Saad El Hawley is not prone to sunburn, and he will likely play this year. He's very exciting to watch him in the resis. Lamont Lowell is a fringe player in his second year. Now, Angus Clark, he's kind of like a mini Mason Redman. In fact, I think his nickname is pup because Redman is Red Dog. Clark is like a younger pup. You get it. He's from the same area as Redman in SA. Clark stayed with Redman when he first came to the club as well. Cale Jarine, West Aussie in his first year, a big ruckman or forward. Reese Unwin is a super speedy small forward in his first year as well. Vigo Vicentini has a brilliant name. That's all you got to know about him. He sounds like a character out of Goodfellas. Zach Johnson, less of a fun name. He's also, by the way, friends with Nate Caddy and Isaac Kako. They all went to school together. Jayden Nguyen, Academy boy, Vietnamese, first in the AFL, I believe. And Archer Day Wicks. Now, if his name was Archie, we would have 3 Archies in the team, but we don't. We have 1 Archer, 2 Archies, rookie draftee from this year. That's all. Yeah, that is our team. Hopefully I've given you guys some info to learn these guys. Obviously I haven't gone into too much detail because I could talk all day. But even if this has helped you learn 2 or 3 or 4 players that you didn't know about before, I did my job. Cheers for watching. If you're new to Essendon, please comment down below what other videos you would like to see from me. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.